Hi-ho, guys and gals. Welcome back to the Den Tools. We got, let me see, where is it? We got the WeCreat laser. Let me get that out of the way. That's the unit right there. There we go. We got that in the shop here, and we are having some fun with it. I'm going to show you some of the projects, some light stuff, some ongoing projects, a work in progress, if you will. And we're going to show you that, and then we're going to come back and talk about features and pricing, and then we're going to talk about what I'm going to call the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? So let's do that. Let's jump into that. All right, first let's jump into it with a little bit of laser cutting, showing you how the machine works, what you can do with it, and putting it through its paces here. Of course, when we're going to start off, we got to have some fun. We're going to do the logo here for the shop. Now check this out. I didn't just cut this out. I engraved this in the cardboard, but I set it to high power, and it completely obliterated the cutout spaces. Now this was done at fairly low power, or actually it's not high power with a fast pass on it. Now here's a project I did. Now I downloaded this off of a website, and you're going to see the website right here on screen. He's got it right here on it. Now you could delete it here. I did delete it from one of the boxes just to see if you can. But he offers this for free. You can go check out his website. He's got a lot of cool stuff on it. This is what's called slot and tab design, and it's very IKEA-like. But it does some really cool stuff. And here, let me show you. I'm going to slow it down, do it in real time, so you can see how fast this is the laser moving at full speed. And also look at the amount of smoke in there when it finishes its cut. And there's going to be a quick changeover right as I go to open it. I let it pause there for about a minute, and this is how clear it got in that 1 minute of time. It completely cleared out all the smoke. But I mean, make sure you're venting your laser. You don't want to be inhaling any of this kind of stuff here. This is a really cool project. I'm a big fan of the whole slot and tab kind of design.
Look at that.
Let's take this over to the desk and I'll show you what I mean. All right, let's see what we got here. Now, I don't have a lot of faith that these are going to line up because I think this wood is too thin for this project. But we shall see. So I guess this makes two of these. I need my eyeballs. Oh wow. I could be entirely wrong about that. I just wanted to show this as a demonstration that you don't have to design everything yourself. There's tons of different websites where you can download tons and tons of stuff. Thingiverse is one place to start. There's a bunch of other ones. And of course, they're going to be adding more and more stuff to their own software as it goes along. Look at that. And another one, we had to do something with some metal here. Thought we'd throw the logo over on the old O-knife axe. Got to slow down and say that correctly. Now in this case, I don't know if it's really so much engraving the metal as it is cutting it into the finish that they have on the metal. I might try putting something here on the handle. Have to wait and see. Maybe try it on some other plastics that are similar to that first before I start doing that to my axe. All right, let's jump into the software real quick so I can show you the setup and how you use the design stuff and whatnot. So as soon as you go in, you probably want to connect it to your device. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You have to connect to it via USB first before you can try using Wi-Fi. Maybe you'll stick with USB. I like Wi-Fi because I have it on the other side of my shop. So one of the problems, though, is you can't set a static IP address on the device. And so that's half WeCreat's fault. Maybe they'll fix it. The other half is that I have Starlink and I can't set a static or tie a MAC address to an IP address. So I can't tie it down from either side. So every time I connect or every few days when I connect, it won't find itself. It's just sitting there going, I can't find it. So what I have to do is I have to go in and I have to pull up my phone and find what IP address it's on now. I can just pull up the app and do it. Then I just come back in here and I click on the IP address. I type in that IP address here. Hopefully I type it in correctly. And then once I type it in and hit connect here, you'll see just a second, boom, and it connects automagically there. So having the right IP address helps. Let's talk about some of the stuff you can do with the app though. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you've got all the basic controls that you'd normally have for any kind of editing, graphics kind of design. What I really like is it also includes the positioning, the scale, and the rotate at the digital level. So I can just type it in. So if I want to come over here and I want to grab, say, a rectangle, I'm going to draw a rectangle here. And I don't like the shape of it. I can adjust it on screen, or I can come up here and I can say, hey, make this a perfect square. Well, first we're going to position it. I want to put it over here at 30 by 30 on my X by Y grid. Then we're going to change the scale. And this is all in millimeters because that's the way most scientific-y kind of stuff is done. That's why you got to learn metric, folks. Standards, imperial, it's done. All right, but look, I can rotate to 45. I can set the scale on it. I can do a ton of stuff on it. And I love being able to type it in rather than just drag it because I know it's precise every time I do that. I can put it in a circle in here or an ellipse, however I drag it. Let's say I drop it here. It's not quite a perfect circle. I come up here, I type in, let's say, make it 100 millimeters. And of course I have a typo in it, so it doesn't do it right. But I can just go right back and go, oh no, that's not right. Make it 100, and let me just type it in here. Click, 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 and boom, I've got a perfect circle. And we can put in text. We can put in a bunch of other stuff as well. And you can change the font and the size and all that kind of stuff with it. Now, images. Now, it's got some stock images in the system. They're pretty basic. There's a good number of them, and they're adding more and more. Every time I do a software update on this thing, there's more images and stuff. But let's search for a bear, all right? And if I could spell it right, we could do a bear. Let's find a decent bear that would be good to work with, say, for the channel. Here's one on the lower right. Let's go down here, and it's not that one. Go up. Let's select that one, and we'll put it in here. Now, what can we do with it? Well, let me get rid of all the other junk we have left on the screen here. And those things you see under, those are pieces of paper, or actually pieces of wood from the previous cutout that fall through the slats, and they're on the underneath tray for cleaning out. So they're not really in the printing zone, if you would. Anyway, I can move this thing around anywhere. I can set it to any angle I want. And then let's set it up and get it nice and straight there. And let's talk about different things you can do with it. You can engrave. You can refreshing the camera every so often is a good idea. It lets you know what you're working with. But I can engrave, I can fill, I can cut, and there's different settings for each one. Power and speed, line density for engrave. On cut, it has power, speed, and how many cutting, the enhanced cutting path. Cool thing on engrave though is it has this grid down there. Let's go down there. I'm going to talk about this in just a little bit, but this thing is amazing. It lets you see exactly what it's going to look like when you're done. And then once you're ready to cut, once you've decided what you want, you just go up there, you click autofocus on it, you click start, and it's good to go. Now here's a project I spent a little bit on. I picked up some foam off of Amazon. It's about an inch plus. I'll show you in just a minute. And I thought, let's see if we can figure out what the right power levels are to use with it, how deep it's going to cut, and eventually looking to see if I can cut out some custom foam for my toolbox organization. And what I did here was I used these little rectangles here, and I multiply them out, and then I would set different levels. I would set like high power, high speed, high power, low speed, medium power, high speed, multiple passes. And I'll show you here in just a minute, but we did a bunch of this stuff, and I spent most of the afternoon doing it. And I'm not going to show you all the different cuts because it gets a little bit repetitive, but just show you an example of what you can do and what kind of fun and other projects you can do with this. When doing stuff like foam, make sure you have ventilation. And here I'm going to ramp up the speed because some of it was kind of slow, but just give you an example of some of the different variables that you can do when testing this kind of stuff out. It was a fun afternoon of doing these kind of different testing to see what gets me what. Spent the better part of an afternoon working on this, and here's where we ended up. Here, and let me fold this part out of the way. You can see there, we got through it on some parts not so much. And that's the front side. The back side, As you can see, they're not quite as clean a hole as I would have liked. But, you know, it's a learning process with something like this. I think what I really learned is I need to be able to get half sheets, or actually even smaller sheets, because this one's clearly laminated already. If I could get just the original different colored sheets in the thinner material, cut them to size, and then glue them together myself, I think I can get what I'm looking for. I was trying to see if I could burn it down to a set level rather than doing that. Not so much. I can clearly burn through it just fine. This one did great. I even tried it on this one here, trying to cut the whole sheet in half. Got most of the way through it. Should have set it for a couple more passes. But anyway, that's the fun thing about this, is experimenting and trying new things. Let's do a quick tour of the machine. So on the outside, everything is metal. All right, all this. There's a nice little gasket around here. This is the part that allows it to go up and down as it rises up. The start button is right over here. Here's your glass panel on top. Inside, we can see the laser unit. There's the connection right there for the rotary unit. There's the exhaust fan right there. We got some nice tracks here for the wires. You got a slack grid on the bottom. Stuff can fall through. You can empty it out from the front. All right, inside the unit, you can see there is the camera. We have great hinges in here. As said, everything is metal. All metal unit. Lots of room, lots of space. And these, of course, are removable as well. So these can come right out. And then all the connections are on the back panel. All right, there's a lot to like about this. Talking about good, there's a lot of really good in this. I think diode lasers, especially in the 20 watt range, probably the best bang for the buck for the DIYer to prosumer, even to the value pro level, especially with this unit, because it's doing stuff other units are not doing. One of the things, talking about the ugly from other people, is I've been approached by so many companies saying, we're going to send you a free laser cutter. And I'm like, really? Let me take a look at it. And it's some open frame machine that the fumes and the laser just goes everywhere, and you got to wear glasses, and it doesn't really have any protection, and you got to put it together yourself, and you got to fiddle with everything. And I'm like, I don't want to do anything like that. I want toaster level appliance. I want to put the toast in, press the button, get toast. I want the project in, press the button, and get my project out. I don't want to figure out whether the x-axis is doing this or maybe my belts are. I don't want to do that. And that's what this thing is. It's fully enclosed, just completely enclosed. It has fume extractor built in. It's got an air module built in to blow the smoke and everything out of the way so the laser doesn't get diffused. You get clean cuts. It extends in height, so I don't have to like fiddle with sitting on top of something else. It's got a camera in it. It's got a light in it. It just does it, all right? And that's what I really like about it. I know I'm acting a little crazy about it, but this is what I've been waiting for. And it does it at a reasonable price. Now let's go over the features they talk about here. HD camera built in. You saw the images. It's not the most amazing kind of image, but it lets you see where your material is, and you can move your canvas and whatever, your images over to what you want. How easy is that? Okay. The rotary tool, that's an accessory and an add-on. If you want to do that, you can. It's cool because it has the clamps that go on the outside, and then also has extending fingers that will go inside the item and push outwards if you need, depending on the item that you have. You understand what I'm saying there. I don't need to explain that. Built-in air assist, we talk about that. The quick view matrix. Now we're going to show that here later, but that's pretty cool because it's fully enclosed. That makes this a class 1 certified laser. You don't have to walk around wearing silly glasses. You don't have to do any of that. It just works. The 20 watt diode laser we talked about, max speed 600 millimeters per second, and light burn support coming soon. Now, Easy Canvas, their built-in software makes it super easy. But the difference between their software and Lightburn is like the difference between a PC and an Apple, okay? In the PC, everything's open. You can screw things up super easy if you don't know what you're doing. But if you do know what you're doing, you can really dial it in the way you want and do all sorts of cool stuff. Apple really kind of controls the whole environment, which limits you from doing some things, but makes the basic stuff and even some of the moderate to advanced stuff super easy. All right. You don't have to mess with it. Again, that toaster analogy, they just make it super easy. So if you're in that area of the super easiness, that's kind of the way it thinks about. You can ramp up using their software. And when you get to that point where I understand all of this and I feel like I'm constrained, by that time they'll have Lightburn support out and you'll be able to jump over to Lightburn and do whatever you want. All right. They have a whole library of stuff and it's ever expanding. They're working on that stuff. You can download. Some of it you have to pay for, some of it you don't. The autofocus. Oh my gosh. I always go back to think about with 3D printers and having to manually level beds. And then finally they came out with auto leveling. And then finally they got auto leveling that actually works. The autofocus on this is perfect. It just works. See it in my Create. I can take something, I could put it in there and I could take the image and then it will remove everything and just do the image. It's insanely easy. Okay. And with the camera positioning, you just put it right where you want it. One click speed. This is the matrix they're talking about. So for the materials that they've already analyzed, and it comes with like half a dozen or a dozen or so materials, and they're adding more. In fact, I just downloaded the update today and it went from, I think it was a dozen to like 3 dozen. It's ridiculous. For the materials that they know, there's a matrix in there and you can see it there and it shows you all the different shades and power level, speed to power level. It gives you an idea what it will look like. You click on the one that you want and it sets the settings for it. That's it. You just go, I'm going to use that material and I want it to look like that. Done. And you just put the material in and go. Rotary engraving, we talked about like the rings. You couldn't do a ring with the typical kind of I keep wanting to say clutch. It's not a clutch. Anyway, but with the fingers there, you can see it. Fingers go inside and spread outwards and hold it. That's pretty cool. Find inspiration everywhere. Yada, yada, sitting speed. It's super fast. It is pretty fast. The Class 1 laser we talked about. Precision crafted performance. I'll tell you this, the thing is built really well. The whole outer case is metal. It feels like almost everything on it's metal. Of course, the top is some sort of like, I think it's tempered glass, maybe it's some kind of glass. But all the components, nothing about this thing at all feels cheap. That's really nice. Mortar, cut, engrave. Yeah, yada, yada, more stuff. I mean, look at this. Wood, metal, leather, stone, paper, fabric, acrylic, ceramic. Lots of stuff you can do. We talked about the light burn support that's coming, the WeCreat now, and the price, early bird pricing. Look at the early bird pricing on this, $1,200. I don't know if that's still available, but it's on their website. Hopefully it still is because this thing is ridiculous. Let's go up to the pricing here. Pricing, if you don't get the early bird, it's going to be $1,700. Now we're going to have links and everything down below. Any kind of discounts I can wring out of them, you know I'm going to do it. All right, so now $1,700 is the price as shown here. That's with the rotary tool. If you don't want the rotary, you're like, I'm not going to do that. Get the base vision for $1,500. Now you can also get the color pack, which is going to add a whole bunch of colored type woods. I don't know, maybe you can do better somewhere else. And the premium pack is going to add it all for, I don't know. I think honestly, most people are going to start with the base one. Hopefully what you can do is then if you get the base and then add the rotary later. Now you'll probably end up paying more for that if you buy it separately. But if you know you're going to do it, definitely get it right away. I'm really happy I got it because I've got a ton of like these kind of mugs and stuff, these tumblers. I get them all the time, and I'm going to have some fun playing with them, see what I can laser into them, that kind of stuff. Anyway, we're going to put the links and stuff down below. Now let's talk about, the good and the bad and the ugly. Well, we talked about the good. There's so much good about this. That's why I'm recommending it. If you are a hobbyist to a prosumer level, or maybe even I'm looking for a side hustle kind of thing, do craft fairs, other stuff like that. I can tell you this, my favorite hardware store in town, Hardware Dan over there, he's got a laser cutter and he is laser cutting tags for electricians for boxes. He charges $20 a pop. He's got a great, everyone knows that he does it. He's the only person locally who does it. And he's just making hand over fist with it. He was talking to me. He's like, I can't believe, he's like, I got it just kind of to play around with. I thought I would do these other things. And somebody asked me to do this. I'm like, sure. And he's like, now it's like, I probably do, an hour or two a day of just, cutting tags for electricians. There's some great little side hustles out there for stuff like this. And something like this makes it super easy. You just, you find a way to vent the fumes, or you can get an air extractor or filter kind of thing. If there's no option for that, I think that, I don't know if they have one now, but I know I saw pictures about that, but, and the other people make them too. There's third party ones as well. You might want to shop those. Don't tell them I said that. Anyway, but again, there's so many good stuff. I'm fumbling over trying to find stuff that's bad. The only thing that I can say that's really bad about this is really more just the situation that it's new. Okay. Now this is a company that's been making products like this. This is not their first go around. They know what they're doing. You're kind of at their mercy though. Like Lightburn coming soon. It'd be nice if Lightburn was at launch. It'd be nice if they had a huge of everything done at launch. Some of the stuff is going to be, as it rolls out and stuff like that. And there's not a huge community. Like there's other ones like the really expensive $4,000 one I talked about. There's a massive community for them. It's also $4,000. All right. This thing's almost, was it less than a third the price of that? Or I don't know my math on that. Anyway, the point is just be aware of that. Okay. You're getting in new, which means you may get some of the great new features at a great lower price, but you might be on the first comers, on this first movers. I mean, and it's really going to be like you building the community. If you want there to be a great community, then get involved in that community. Share the stuff you learn. Like you saw me doing the thing with the foam. Well, I should probably get into that community, be like, hey, here's what I've learned and playing with these different types of foam and what you can do with it, what you can't do with this. All right. What you can't do with it is get an even level cut when you're just trying to burn the whole thing away. What I need to do is probably cut that whole sheet in half and then cut through the top half and then just glue it back together. And that'll give me the kind of base that I want. I mean, that's honestly what I was figuring I was going to have to do anyway, but hopes, right? Anyway, let me know what you think about this. Is this going to be the kind of device you're looking for? Is it going to be able to do things you want to do in the shop? And you can probably tell where I'm going with the foam. I'm looking for, inserts for my tool chest. There's other stuff I'm thinking about doing. Like I'm going to change the, let me go back here and show you this. So one of the things I'm going to do is this fan up here is dying. It's not, it needs to go. Okay. And I don't know if I really need a fan so much as just a vent there. So I'm looking at cutting out, a funnel kind of shape, a squared off cone, if you would, and probably going to use the laser cutter to do it to create a vent that I can hook up any hose into. So it all just vents outside. All right. This thing already has a fan. I don't need a fan to push it out. So it's already set up for that. So anyway, just thoughts and stuff that you might want to consider and whatnot. Anyway, again, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Don't forget to check out the link. Go over to WeCreat and see if what they got there is going to work for you. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.